guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Where the haters at? Y'all bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got Hex, flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. It's lullaby music, really, right? It's hard to believe that something like this exists. I get it, but you just gotta come to terms with reality. It just exists. Nothing we can do about it. Buy a steak and chill, baby. Shout out to Marketable Thoughts. You can't get this kind of shit for free anywhere else. And it's very important to understand that. And we're handing it out. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. So much luck, once again, because the facts don't give a fuck. Peace.
Was good, fam. Happy Tuesday to everyone. You guys have probably seen it's already popping off, and we don't really know what's going on. There is no credible video, no credible anything. All we have, all we have are these stupid ass headlines and stupid ass videos that don't provide any literal context to as far as what's actually going on. Hold on. All right. So yeah, all we have is literal hearsay. And the interesting thing is that the majority, and by majority I mean NPCs, are disregarding is the fact that you are literally expected to believe lies and not question them. Not sure how long that's going to last, but you best believe that's going to have a limit. The limit does exist in that instance. So I'm not sure exactly where this is going to end up. I don't know what the proper term is, but one thing I do know is that you can't tacitly sit by, allow this to happen, and think nothing's going to come knocking on your doorstep. I don't think people understand how plausible deniability works exactly. And ultimately, all of these chickens are going to come home to roost. Because that's how it works. And, it's obviously not a threat or anything. It's just literally how it works. Nobody agrees with what's happening, yet everybody's letting it happen. I don't know. 1 + 1 is 2. You tell me. All we have is an idea of what's happening. We don't really know. Let's see if there's any updates that we can. 80s really dead. Nope. Nope. Oh, well. So I don't know if you guys are even going to remember this, but back in the day, and by back in the day, I mean like 10, 12 years ago, when this serious stuff first popped off, they really held on tight to the chemical weapons story. They really tried to ramp up the whole mustard gas business and all of that. I mean, they went really hard. Didn't work, obviously. And of course, this is all assuming it's even real. Um, at the end of the day, all of this stuff always revolves around Russia. Pay attention to that because that's important. Because what's happened now is that we're in a situation where the people have no recourse as far as what is actually happening. We just have to sit here and let it happen if we don't pretend to coordinate and stop these insane motherfuckers from being themselves. Because again, it seems like it's a lot of them. But if you only knew what I knew. When you look at data, you have to understand that even if it's manipulated, right? There's only but so much manipulation that can happen as far as things being out of whack and being obviously a lie. And the important thing behind that is, you know, over the past 10 to 12 years, the civilian side of the federal government has ballooned, whereas the military side of the federal government has shrunk. And I mean that with every sense of the word. Um, so, these are things that you have to be aware of because ultimately police are going to come knocking on your door. You live in America. And I don't know if you know, but the police that are being hired nowadays aren't even American, they're foreigners. So, I'm just not sure where these things are going. And I'm not sure that other people are interested. At least they're not pretending to be. So, interesting times. Um, let's see what we got as far as updated headlines. Everything could last a while longer. Yeah, well, I talked about this a long time ago. All right, people are starting to catch on that, the reality of a bear market is contingent more so on people's perception of reality than anything else. Um, and until these eggs come home to roost, you can expect the party to continue. I don't know. Hmm, I don't know if it makes sense for our stock market to crash when if we were to get attacked per se, militarily speaking. Because what's happening now? Well, apparently, uh, Iran has attacked Israel, supposedly. That's the story for today. You guys saw there's really no other updates. Besides that, the U.S. port strike started last night. This is probably the biggest story Never mind Israel and Iran, because that shit doesn't impact us at all. It really only impacts the politicians. They're the only ones that have a stake in that shit. You know, if Israel blows up, I could give two fucks. Doesn't affect me in any way. And the fact of the matter is that when you walk around trying to be a bully, don't expect sympathy from others when your shit gets rocked, because you're not gonna get it. In fact, all you're gonna get is beat down by others. That's the reality. So good luck to them, because they're gonna need it. So let's see here. According to Politico Daggett, the ILA's president earned 700K from the union last year, and another 173 as president emeritus of a local union branch. That's fucking crazy. This is crazy. New York Times said the union boss previously owned a 76-foot yacht. I mean, whatever. You know, if he's getting paid like that, he can clearly afford whatever the monthly payment is on this nonsense. It's not even that big of a yacht, but still a yacht, so it costs money. But it's just another one of these things that people like to not pay attention to what's actually going on. And then they want to get upset that they're getting scammed in some way, shape, or form. I don't know why this always happens, but this is America. That's literally how things work here. So all these people for all this time have just been robbing. And what people forget is that these things happen from the top down. Let's think about it. The union is supposed to represent the worker. Unions exist because government allows them to in certain instances, right? In some way, some shape, somehow. So how can it be that these entities are just out here taking money straight out the pot? Because that 700,000 a year is not coming. But what does the union do to produce money? Nothing. It takes that money from the members. So what exactly are we doing here? Should these so-called unions have paid personnel? I don't think so. Clearly, there's a conflict of interest there. And, these people think they got some type of fucking authority over your existence at the same time. So there's a lot of moving parts in our system that people pretend are okay, are in favor for. I don't even know what to theorize at this point, because it's clear that literally everything is a scam. Always has been in my mind ever since I was a kid, because it's obvious. So as a freaking grown ass man, I just don't know what to think of people anymore. I don't really know even what to say to people anymore. The hardest thing to do is to make small talk with people that are retarded, because it's really just a matter of them defaulting to some NPC comment and you having to listen to it and not, explode. I don't know. It's a tough thing to do. Um, and all of this stuff, guys, is just a reflection of all of the past 65 years, 70 years of what these people have been allowed to get away with. Let's think about it. Why in the hell do you need a union when all this shit should just be baked into the fucking pie? But no, it's not. It's way easier to fool people into thinking that they got some type of good thing going here when they don't have anything going. And it's like that saying goes, right? It's much easier to fool people than it is to and this is sad in my mind every time. I mean, I think about this every day now. It's much easier to fool people than it is to educate them on the fact that they're being fooled. And this is so true. If crypto isn't, if you've been in crypto for the past 4 years, well, you know that's true. Hands down, not a question. So, where does this party end? I mean, it almost doesn't, right? And that's what's interesting about it. It's like people just love pain. And the reality is that no, we don't. We tolerate pain because we understand innately it's temporary, but we don't do the things that we need to do to avoid it, right? I mean, that's interesting. That's an interesting human reality. So, yeah, I don't know. We live in very interesting times where all the sum of these collective decisions and actors are coming to a head. People are pretending like they, and by people I mean those in politics. I mean, some aren't even addressing it, caring about it, whatever have you. Um, most are just gonna act like it's not even happening. So expect prices to continue going up. Whole lot. Looting erupts after biblical floods devastate southeast U.S. Sheriff urges residents to carry with safety off. I don't know if you know, but if you understand weapons or have any idea how they work, weapons have a safety mechanism on them. And that's to keep the weapon from firing off when you don't intend for it to. So safety off means be ready to fire. So Carolinas, Tennessee, and I'm sure Georgia's in the mix. And of course, perfect timing right before election season or right before the election. So you can bet your bottom dollar, they're going to drop. And by they, I mean the feds are going to drop tons of Haitians all over this place because this environment is going to be paradise to them. There's water and shit. It rained. Haiti, it barely rains. And when it does, they don't know what to do with it. So here we are. All right. I have not been very focused on that, and you won't believe who is saying this and why. Yesterday, CNBC asked U.S. Commerce Secretary Raimondo, "What are you hearing will happen if dock workers strike and it goes on and it goes longer than a week?" This was referring to the ILA union action, which logistics experts say would be calamitous for U.S. and global logistics. Yet, which at time of writing was hours away from beginning after an improved 50% pay raise offer was rejected. Her reply: "I have not been very focused on that." Imagine. Now, this is the top dog at Commerce, at the Department of Commerce in the United States. She is not worried about commerce in the United States, basically, is what she just said here. Let's listen.
Where have you been kind of focused and hearing on what would happen if the strike goes, let's say, longer than a week?
Again, I have not been very focused on that.
Yo, oh man. God bless the ignorant because they've been relying on a scam this entire time, thinking that people were experts. And boy, are they gonna fucking learn real quick that there's no such thing and that they've been buying into a lie for a long time. SNB's Switzerland National Bank, Schlegel, can't rule out negative rates. Nothing is off the table. Man, this party is never going to end. Hope you guys understand that. Because that's basically what's going on here. Um, 2008 just opened up Pandora's box as far as disrespecting your finances because you're too dumb in general. You know, the NPC pack, they're too dumb to see all this crazy scam shit that's going on. Like, it's just wild. Prices keep going up, and these people cannot, for the life of me, figure out why it's happening. Imagine being that dumb. This is reality. This is what we're living through right now. A group of people living through grand theft, larceny, whatever, all types of shit. And they can't realize they're being robbed. Wow. It's crazy when you really, really think about it. Because it's happening in people's faces. It's not like it's even being hidden. That's what's crazier about it. It's just wild when I sit here and think about it. Because you would think it's obvious. But nope. Surely is not. So, 2008, all the excuses in the world were trumped up to create a scenario where forever and ever, until we collectively say no more, these people are going to literally just make up emergencies to continue playing hero by creating ridiculous legislation that is not going to improve your life in any way. Because it's really all about imposing their will, their power, not anything else, right? So, these are the kinds of things we have to be cognizant of as people that have to live in this society that's being created, right? Because it's not like we really like what's going on, right? And I feel like even though that's obvious, people find a way to kind of be content with the situation instead of reacting to the situation. Not sure what to make of it, but that's very, very dangerous. For sure. Because it's the literal frog in boiling water. We're literally living it live. And we're being, harassed and accosted in our faces. I mean, this is what this is. Key highlights: the services sector is solid and the industrial sector subdued. I expect Swiss growth to be subdued in coming quarters. The biggest risk for Swiss economy is developments abroad. Now, why would that be the case? Interesting. Last week, we did not rule out further interest rate cuts. Okay. School me on why. We cannot rule out negative rates at the moment. We rule nothing out. Reason for last week's rate cut was reduced Inflationary pressure. Wow. He knows something we don't know. Without interest rate cut, inflation forecast would have been slower. Main problem for Swiss exporters is lower demand abroad. Ah, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I'm well aware of what Switzerland exports. And none of it has to do with geopolitical anything. So interesting. Interesting that there was even a rate cut, basically. Fierce Hezbollah resistance on ground as Israel says Lebanon offensive to last 2 weeks. Now, how can they know that it's going to last 2 weeks? That's what I want to know, personally speaking. How can they forecast something so unforecastable? I've been to war. You know, when I went, I was only supposed to be there 3 months. 365 days later, or 335 days later. It's just not the way it works. So this is all a setup. It's all a setup. That's all it is. Unfortunately, we have to be aware of that. And what's interesting is the market is trading down today. It is reacting to, in my opinion, the risk that's been obvious in the market now, but the market just hasn't been reacting. Biden Harris FCC nuked 20,000 Starlink terminals for North Carolina that could have saved lives. And this is the kind of thing I'm talking about right here. You know, where do we find the will and desire to accept something like this? These are the people that are supposed to be in charge. Literally supposed to be in charge of everything. You don't even know where this guy is 99% of the time. And they just pretend like she's in charge now. Because they're just presuming it's going to be a smooth handover. They're praying for no friction, but little do they know what's coming, one way or the other. On Monday, the North Carolina State Climate Office said Hurricane Helene was a, quote, monster storm, end quote, that unleashed every, quote, worst case scenario, end quote, for Western North Carolina. Asheville Mayor Esther Manheimer told CNN's The Source with Caitlin Collins on Monday that over 600 people are unaccounted for. Some towns have been wiped off the map after torrential rains dumped from Helene unleashed biblical floods. Now let's just watch a little clip here. I think you can kind of tell that the road is just not there anymore. That's what it looked like. And I guess the river came right to their doorstep. That's the risk you take by living on the water. Man, I saw this one. At least a clip of it anyway. I mean, you just, water is a very dangerous thing. Uh, for those of us that witnessed Katrina from afar, you probably learn to respect water then. Um, if you don't live in a flood-prone area, consider yourself lucky. But this is what's happening in North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, and those in charge deem it unconsequential, insignificant, not relevant, unimportant for people in that state, in those states, to be able to communicate. This is from today or yesterday at 3 p.m. Let's hear the lie.
We're also very focused on restoring communications capabilities. FEMA, the FCC, and private telecommunications providers are working together to help restore temporary communications as quickly as possible by establishing temporary cell sites and allowing for roaming where possible, where a resident can connect to any network available even if they aren't subscribed to that network. Today, FEMA will install 30 Starlink receivers in Western North Carolina to provide immediate connectivity for those in greatest need.
Yesterday. Incredible. Incredible. Man, I don't know, folks, but it's only a matter of time before this shit hits at your door. Big Iranian ballistic missile attack on Israel expected. U.S. to assist in defense. What do you think about that? This is the setup. They've been working towards this goal since 1997 or so. In case you didn't know. That's how old this is. You know, this goes back further than that, obviously. But as far as this moment in time, it's been in the works, as far as I know, since at least 1997. Think about that. All the different presidents, all the different bodies that have come through and propelled this very point in time into existence. All these people with vested interest in making this happen. And guess what? Everybody is going to have to suffer the consequences of that activity, of that action. Sadly, because everybody is asleep at the wheel, even right now as we speak. There's not enough urgency with what's going on in the world right now. And guess what? We're behind all of it. Because all the guns and weapons and ammunition and servicemen and all that shit's here. Israel's doing everything with the understanding of who's going to back them up. No questions asked. No task too big, too small. Good luck to us all. Newsom outlaws voter ID rules in California. California Governor Newsom has just signed a new law banning local governments from requiring residents to present identification to vote in elections. The legislation introduced by Senator David Min, clearly a chink, CCP type, is a direct response to a ballot measure approved this year by voters in Huntington Beach, which required people to show photo identification at the polls. The Republican-led city, whose leaders often tussle with Sacramento Democrats, has maintained that its status as a charter city, whatever that means, gives a home rule over elections administration. But Attorney General Rob Bonta and Secretary of State Shirley Weber aren't buying it. The officials sued Huntington Beach in April to invalidate the law, arguing it interferes with state voting rights protections. How about that? The state of California believes you should be able to vote no matter what. But Costco doesn't think you can go into the stores without ID. So that's something for you guys to chew on, figure out, and understand where you are in time. Because it is high time, and we'll cover the markets markets have closed. Let's see what we're working with here. It looks like we're working with a market that's bias short now officially. Let's get this VWAP out of the way for now. Let's expand this image. Yeah. All right. So, why is this not? Hold on, guys. I gotta refresh this. Cornelio. All right, I'm out. Peace. All right. Or come on, man, hurry up. Damn. Alrighty. Interesting. Okay. So, guys, if you guys got questions, tee them up in there. If I missed it, throw something in the chat so I know to scroll up. Because we're just gonna look at these charts and then just wrap it up after this. You guys know it's game time, it's go time. Things are liable to pop off wherever you are at any moment in time because you don't have the tools and resources that the feds do. And that's what it boils down to. And unfortunately, I don't know when it's going to happen that people are going to come to the realization that if they don't step up for themselves, they're screwed. I don't know how else to put it because, you got to understand, as I've said a million times before, evil has no interest in not being itself. Plain and simple. So, what incentive does evil have to stop doing what it's doing? These are things that you got to take into consideration, taking into account, because at the end of the day, that's what's driving everything. Everything. Crypto is a small slice of the set of parameters that we have to contend with respect to our decision making, because the party is only getting started. People ultimately have to come to the realization that all the fuckery is now due, right? All the bills that people have been putting off, all the can kicking, all of that is coming due. And you're not going to be able to avoid paying. And luckily for me, and this is me just speaking personally, my life has been one such that I have not had the benefit of not paying rent when it's due. And I mean that, not in the terms of rent that we pay in the apartment, but figuratively in terms of life. World don't care. The universe doesn't care. Gonna reap what you sow. Right? And that's kind of where we're at now. The question is, are markets going to get ahead of themselves as far as risk is concerned? Because right now we're looking um, relatively weak. We returned at a point of resistance, and interestingly enough, it wasn't marked off by the chart. Typically is fair value gap, whatnot. So, time to be aware of the fact that maybe the market slipped and it can't get up, but it just started going down. Right now, this is the annual VWAP. All right, now let's focus on this again. We've talked about it before. And as I've told you guys numerous times before, think about price as a pinball in a pinball machine. This is what's really happening when it's traveling through space and time, or at least through time, not necessarily space. when you're doing your technical analysis, it's important, it's crucial that you wrap your head around that, because without understanding what's driving motion, i.e. humans, you're going to have a hard time analyzing anything. And that's can't really escape that. You know what I mean? So you got to get in where you fit in and understand, try to understand anyway, what it is I'm saying when I mean that, when I say that, or what it is I'm trying to imply when I say that. You had price run all the way from the start of the year and into the upper edge of this VWAP band. Right now, think about it as kind of like a corral, right? And this corral is housing a big old bull, right? And the thing about Wall Street is that when the market is going up, it's considered bullish, right? Everybody's familiar with that. Not just a Wall Street thing anymore. Um, so what happens when the bull rams his head into the wall too many times? Well, it ain't no longer a bull, right? It's freaking dizzy, it's dazed and confused. They don't know what the hell's going on. Right? So that's what's going on there specifically. Right? So when you come into understanding, like if this was a Bollinger Man, it'd be the same concept. It's essentially the same thing, except for we're not using a moving average, we're using VWAP instead. So let's focus on this part of the chart and understand that price was so bullish, right? The bull was so buck. Let's change this to the December contract, right? So on the surface, it looked like it was really running into the VWAP. But when you go into the individual contracts, could have just clicked on that U there. It really only ran into it one time. And that second time was July 10, 12, 10, 11. Let's click on the composite. And that's this moment right here. So this point is going to definitely point us to a negative divergence being locked in, and that's what we see. Right? Sometimes you got to look at price by itself before you look at everything else. All right? You have volume. Honestly, there's no negative divergence here per se. But what you do have is excessive volume that doesn't line up with momentum or volatility. Now let's take a closer look at each. All right, we have a spike in volume from the 10th to the 15th, I think this is 16th. We have a spike, major spike in volume. So it's not like it's even a little bit, right? We went from the 8th, 9th, 4.2 million in volume, and the 10th had 4.5 all the way to almost 5 million. All right, so that's almost like a 20% jump or so. And then a precipitous drop all the way back down to 4. So that's a 20% rip to a 20% drop. 60% rip to a 20% drop. Right, but people that were buying, they got left holding the bag. That's a lot of the times what you get in excess volume. And the sad thing about it is you have to analyze volume in order to understand that. All right, let's move on to the next indicator. This is the momentum indicator. Now, the thing to grasp on this aspect is you do have a higher high, right? But that's kind of like a hidden divergence. And the reason it's hidden is because even though you have a semblance of a slope here, what you're gonna learn now is that the angle of the slope does in fact matter. Um, bam, bam, bam. So I know this is gonna seem stupid, but sadly, it's true. um, you guys see the angle. I know they got an angle measure fucking somewhere. There we go. See if I can remember how to use this damn thing. All right, so that's 34%. Hold on, I'm trying to see if I can make that bigger. And really, that's it. No font changing. All right, well, whatever. It says 34% there. All right. So the steepness of this angle is a grade of 34 degrees. Sorry, not 34%, but 34 degrees. All right. Now let's go to this one. And as you guys can probably tell, it's not the same grade, not the same steepness by any means. 8%. Now this is something that you're probably not going to find most people talking about because they probably don't even know. But that's a thing. That's a hidden divergence, and it is literally a function of degrees. So when you come across something like that, now you know what to do with it. And that's a pro tool right there, pro tip. So take that one to the bank. Now let's look at volatility. Hold on, man. All right, just passing by. Volatility around that time was right here. All right, and what you don't have is it reaching zero. Now, why does that matter? Well, that matters because if price is trying to make newer highs and it can't produce a lower measure of volatility, then that's a fail in terms of price, right? And I don't know if you guys can tell, but I have a dashed line here, like 3.7 or something like that, because for a daily time frame perspective, a measure of 3 in this indicator, which measures volatility, is a type of measure of volatility. That 3 sometimes caps off moves. So you want to be aware of the market when it is hitting those areas because it is not to be ignored, basically. You don't want to ignore it. Let's see. See up here, you had market essentially hit zero. Let's see, was that March 21st? But the market kept going after that point in time. Let's see. March 21st, probably that. Yep. So the market did ultimately keep going. It just took it a long time before it actually recovered that level. It took it about 7 weeks. So the thing about volatility is you got to understand what it's telling you, right? And that's why I've always told you guys volatility stacks. So if volatility is stacked to a high point, whereby it's maxed out on its indicator to the point that it almost reached zero, then, you know, that's probably it for that move, right? Because looking back now, you had the indicator hit zero before, once, twice, almost 3 times, going back to November 2023, right? So this whole time, the market's been pushing, just like salt and pepper, right? All the way up until March 21st. And then it finally caps off into a moment of rest and relaxation before it continues. And when it reaches this point of support here, interestingly enough, previous year's high towards the end of the year, and it's probably the high for the year. Yep, that was support right here. So, long story short, looks like the market's weak. You have volatility kind of giving you that sign that it's kind of done here. It tried to get up there, couldn't get up there, rolled over, and now we're subsequently higher, right? Because up here is 0, down here is 14. So the way I have this indicator laid out is so that it coincides, the motion of it coincides with price. So I understand that down is upward volatility, because when you look at the VIX, guess what? Upward volatility. And when you look at the volatility of VIX, well, guess what? It's up. Upward volatility. Or I'm sorry, downward volatility, because the VIX itself is up. Does that make sense? Because when the equity indices are going up, the VIX is going down. All right, let's look at March 21st over here. Let's see. Bam. Look at that. A low in volatility. Volatility was 12.4, the low that day. It closed at 12.9%. And what happened after that? It took off and went all the way to 21.25. All right, all in a matter of a month. It did all of that. It doubled in a month. So if we're seeing now let's see what we got here. Let's give ourselves a line to work with, because it could get interesting if we come on, man. What do I need to upgrade for, bro? I'm just changing to the freaking line. Thank you. All right. Just gonna get a measure here. Looks like we got 6-degree inclination. Yeah. Hidden divergence here. Right, you got a 1-degree delta between points of inflection. 6-degree here, and then this here is going to be just retarded. Let me just make sure I got the right dates. August 30th. Oh wait, no, is that right? That's probably not right. Oh yeah, we're looking at volatility, not the what you call it, stock market. All right, so 26th September. 26th September is at low point. So that's when that low measure of volatility got locked in. Now, I don't know why this thing is not staying in place, but let me try to delete that and just redo it. Yeah, so long story short, guys, if you want to give yourself some type of trigger, right? A trigger system. Shit, I forgot I even had a position on. A trigger system to know when to initiate a position, right? You have to kind of have a checklist. Right? Does that make sense? You want to make sure all these things check off before you actually pull the trigger. So you got divergence here, major divergence here. Volatility is the most important indicator out of every indicator that you're going to have for every instrument that exists out there. Why? Because volatility is a measure of when things are going to move. And your objective is to make money. So you give a shit about when things are going to move. Right? Even if we're talking about crypto, right? You give a shit about when things move. Nothing else. So, very important lesson to learn there. I mean, I think I spent a few years just studying volatility fucking hardcore. it's an important topic, and unfortunately, not a lot of people spend enough time on it. And they miss out a lot on a lot of very crucial information, knowledge, and understanding because of that oversight. Now, to wrap this all up, you have the simple fact of the matter that momentum seems to be positive. However, volatility is not coinciding with that fact. So we're going to have to let momentum show us what's actually going on as far as price action goes. Because for now, this could very easily just turn into a buy the dip moment. And all this hoopla I'm talking about could not matter. Right? So those are things like that's the way you got to really look at the market. You got to respect the fact that it's fluid, you know. Uh, and as we've learned today or relearned today, water and its fluidity are not anything to play with, right? You don't disrespect that. So markets are no different. That's why risk management is crucial. When you look at this point here in the market, the main thing I notice is that you have a point of inflection up here. And that's marked at 20,589. Let's see what we got here. 9. What's the high here? 20,538. So somewhere, let me see something. Nope. Oh yeah. Take that dip, baby. Take that dip. All right. So what were we talking about? Yeah, this level here. 20,500. I'm just trying to see if I have it marked off here, and I do. But this doesn't really make sense. 25th, July 10th. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. Bam. All right. Sorry for this mess. It's kind of. Let me get rid of this section breaks. Get rid of that. All right. So we're looking for July 10th. Oof. Puke City. Let's see if we can get to July 10th here. There we go. All right. So what I want to see or look for is potential areas that could act as resistance right around 20,300 to 20,500 or 600. As we here's our culprit right here. 20,542. Now let me zoom in so I could point something out to you guys. This level here, fuck, it changed. All right. So the whole point I want to make is that you have this area right here. You could even see it on the left side of the screen here. You have this area where a lot of trading activity happened, right? And that area covers 520 through 550. Now, the way I look at the market, it's pretty simple. When I look at a range like that, first thing I'm doing is splitting it in 4 and 2, right? So if we got a 30-point range, that means we have 50 minus 30 minus 15. That's going to give us 35. And where was that top at? $538. And then not only that, we also had a level there blocking it. And I was only off by 10 points as far as my math went for that day, but who knew? I didn't do that level of analysis at that point in time. So I didn't know that 538 was a level of importance. Maybe if I would have looked, I would have known. But I really did not do that. So it's just nature of the beast. Anyway, let me see something real quick. 35. It's not gonna get 35, maybe 40. So the idea here is for you guys to see what it is that I'm thinking, because what I'm thinking is the market is going to in fact continue to roll over. You have a lot of reasons why. The most important one, I don't know if you guys can see with all these colors on the screen. Let me get rid of this. Let's get rid of that. And this. And that. Remove drawings. Okay. So, okay. I just wanted to make sure. Um, uh, so long story short, moving average was tagged and price reversed. Um, we're over long-term moving averages, but even yet and still, the market is not really buying the bull move, right? So what we want to see here is if the market is going to continue higher, you want to see some consolidation in this zone, just like you saw here. But the fact of the matter is that you want to see it slightly higher. So instead of the point of control being in the 80s, for example, you would want to see it in the 900s to 920s, in between there. Because otherwise, all this is doing is creating a window of opportunity for weak price momentum to continue, right? So if this oscillator continues to recoil higher, right, resetting itself for a move lower, and this is assuming it's going to even go higher, because if it doesn't go higher, it's just going to go lower, right? And that's the interesting thing about looking at the market from that perspective. Volatility is increasing, which is going to lend itself to market prices decreasing, which is what you're seeing now. So all of these things again add up to all the, and this is a pretty big range. Give me a second here. This range specifically measures $1,885 per bar, per candle, however you want to call it. So not something to scoff at when you get that kind of reversal in prices. So important to pay attention to. These levels are also important: 19,925, 19,800. Why have you not come back, levels? Undo that. Phew, thank you. All right. Give me a second. Let me just fix this. Boy, oh boy, that thing is puking right now. Let's see where we are here. Yep. All right. So the market is doing what it's expected to be doing, which is rolling over as we speak. Here we go. There's another visual. And here is a shorter visual, shorter term visual. If you guys look at this image here, we're right below second level of the day. Let's expand this image here. But right below the second level of the day, we traded all the way down to the most extreme level, the fourth level. For a market to go past the fourth level, it's a very dramatic day. All types of craziness is going on. There's major risk inherent in the market and all of that, right? It's like things are out of whack. Um, that's what's going on. So, yeah. So for the market to trade back up to the second level and not recover the first, kind of almost make it, not quite. Not a good sign as far as the bulls are concerned. So, is this 89? No, this is. Oh wait, what's going on? Ah, here we go. So yeah, this is looking relatively weak. So what I'm doing is I'm switching between different vantage points so that I have all the visuals of what price is doing throughout every aspect of time, right? So we got support area here, uh, um, 40, 50, 30, 50 area. What the? Similar here. And typically when you have area support like that line up across various range perspectives, they might hold. So they're important to be aware of. But we'll see. I'm not entirely sold yet, although it is the end of the day. So how much more can the market really do? I don't know. We'll see. 53. Where are we? Yeah, 50 points away from that level. We could just not go down there. We could definitely close right here. All right, but back to the daily. For now, the market, even when you zoom in higher from the daily, it looks very, very weak. So that's something to be cognizant of. So the NASDAQ looks weak. Let's look at the E-mini. Odds are it's going to look the same way because VIX is a function of this. Yeah, and it does. And the same deal, right? We're right below the 5763 number, which trading at 5758. That's the yellow level here, moving the short-term moving average. That one typically determines my bias as far as what I'm looking for the day to trade shorts or longs. Overall, that changes from moment to moment throughout the day, depending on what's happening and the trends in the market and whatnot. The dollar looks like it's been repping. Yep, because of course, dollar up, price is down. What are you gonna do? The interesting thing about the dollar is that it really is a world of its own, and you have to pay attention to what interest rates are doing. Because, look, they're going down, but somehow the value of the dollar is going up. That's contradictory. It's not supposed to happen that way. But in your face, it's happening while gold is going where? To the moon. Literally. Because a lot of people don't understand is that it's probably undervalued by a factor of 5 or even 10. Silver even more so because it's used in a greater capacity than gold is, and then I'm pretty sure there's less of a supply. So a lot of lies being spread all around as far as the money system goes, because you guys got to understand the money system is fake off the bat, right? So looks like everybody woke up and realized that World War III was happening. That's what I see when I look at this crude chart. I'm just checking my levels because I'm not plotting them on these charts anymore. It just takes up too much of my time. 66.55, and we had a low of 66.33. Not bad. Had a high of 71.94, and that's outside of my range, all the way outside of it. So, yep, it's about to get funky. About to get funky and crude. And I hope it doesn't spill over to gas and heating oil, but it looks like it has. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it looks like we're getting that double bottom off of the VWAP band for all three of them, actually. So it looks like energy prices are going to catch a bid now. Um, safe to say. Safe to say. You want to wait if you want to see that this. I mean, it's already been tested, so odds are it's going to be breached. Um, Cotton doing what we expected it to do. Just riding the wave. Well, I almost got to get out of this trade. Hold one, please. Let's see if we can get a little 50 before the end of the session. Cornell. Let's go with 40. All right. So it looks like things are going to get a little spicy. Copper. Keep an eye on copper. This is going to be an interesting market here moving forward, especially with everything they're trying to do. Palladium sideways, platinum sideways, but upward trend really lately. And if you're looking to learn to trade, I seen somebody asking something about that. I don't know. Can you give me starting resources for the trading? I do, and the tools you use. So I just use Trading View for my charts. As far as resources go, I just say figure out what it is you want to trade and Google or AI your life away. That's really the best thing you can do is just try to learn the basics, try to figure out what exactly it is you're trying to do in the market, and then figure out how to do it. Because I'm trying to do one very specific thing, and that's extract as many ticks as possible. A lot of people are not trying to do that, and if they are, they're not focused on doing that. So they don't design their strategies around that, whereas I do. So, the most important thing to understand is that whatever you decide to do in the market has to fit the way you think. Oof, nasty move in Coco. Nasty move. Let's get rid of these VWAPs here. Yeah, major volume too. That's what that pink candle means, and same thing with the green. I don't even have volume on this chart. Nope. Gotta get out of my position. Hold on, guys. Go flats. Thank you. All right. Alrighty. Big volume today on this down move, so it's gonna be interesting to see what happens from here. Let's take a look at sugar. Looks like sugar's still in an uptrend. Yep, still in an uptrend, major uptrend too. So good stuff there. Corn, yep, still doing its due. And back to the trading question. I really recommend that people just learn to keep it simple. Set yourself up for really deciphering what you're comfortable with. For example, I'm comfortable with trading both intraday and the big picture, but I understand that much better now because I got good at the big picture. So, it's a whole thing. Look into Commodities Corp, look into Michael Marcus. Well, he was at Commodities Corp. Um, Jim Rogers, great trader as far as he looked at the markets. And in reality, this is something I probably said before, and you should probably try to understand. Uh, you don't even need charts to trade. If you understand human sentiment and how to go against it, you can literally just trade stocks or leaps off of that strategy and make oodles, caboodles of money. So again, it just depends on how you like to look at the market and what fits you and stuff like that. It's all about you in essence. That's the net of that. That's what I had to figure out. And it ends up becoming this whole self-reflection journey. And that's how I learned so much about myself because I'm trying to make this money how I think, and how do I think? That's a question I had to ask. Um, all right. No real major questions in the chat. So I guess we're good to wrap it up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Um, Shout out to everybody in the chat. Keep your head on a swivel. Um, you have nobody except yourself and your circle. So never mind what you see on TV. Focus on your friends and family. Um, Markets are always going to be there. We're the type of people, species that are always going to create these kinds of things. Understanding them is important no matter what happens in the future. I don't have any tweets to share today. We'll save that for maybe tomorrow or next time. Appreciate you guys tuning in today. Thank you and peace.